Okay, so a tip, kind of, sort of, but also my protocol. So, there are tips that you can use and there are tips that you don't have to use. And this is for my schedulers. So, anytime someone comes to me and says, my boss wants this meeting, right? In my brain, the way I've operated is that means they told them to set it up, right? He did not tell me to set it up. So what happens is I get in contact with that person's scheduler, and then that person's scheduler sends the invites out. They do the legwork. I've said this before. They do the legwork and all that other stuff. When my boss or principal comes to me and says, Keisha, I need this meeting, we're on it. I'm the one that brings everyone together and the invite gets sent from me. Now, the reason I do that is for in my brain, it's easier for me to keep track of what he asked me for and what was given to him. Does that make sense? Because sometimes, a lot of times, when if let me back up. There was a time when I sent out every invite. There was a time I sent out every invite. And what started to happen, I started to trip over myself because I didn't remember what, like, why this meeting is here, and I was just like, oh, where did this come from? And I didn't remember because the person who organized it, who was on the other side, who should have organized it, isn't on the email. You understand? So it's or the invite. So it was very confusing for me. So for me, I always tell people, if you're requesting the meeting, your assistant sends the invite. If we're requesting the meeting, I send the invite. If I was told to set it up, and we'll go into a color code system later, but I have everything color coded as well. So when a meeting goes out, I'll know if it's on virtual or if it's in person by the color. But that's for a different video. I don't want to get too confusing and stuff and messed up. But the reason, again, the reason I have made it that way where the assistants are the ones that send the invite in is because it helps me keep track of why it was sent. Because what happens is when I go back, because I've had this happen, that my principal would go to me, oh, what is this meeting on my calendar? And I would look at it, and we schedule meetings like months out. I scheduled a meeting recently for October. So there are times that we're not going to remember why that meeting was scheduled, right? And if you only have the people who are attending that meeting in the invite, you're not going to be able to go in your emails and find out who you spoke to set up that meeting and why it was done, because that initial email is the email you're going to need to be like, oh, this meeting is about this and that. It is your responsibility to know what is on your boss's calendar. That's what we get paid for. Calendar management is not something that's, oh, it's not that big a deal. Calendar management, you are managing this person's life because they're with you more than they are at home. You understand? Well, granted, yes, whole work from home thing is different, but yeah. So if you're in charge of someone's calendar, you need to be in charge of their calendar, and don't just be like, oh, it's not that big a deal and all that other stuff. I'm going to do a lot more videos on calendar management because I believe it's like an art form. You have to be able to do it correctly, because if not, it's going to be a very disruptive thing for your person, and they're not going to want to keep you when times turn down. Does that make sense? People keep people when times turn down who are essential to what they need. Not everybody can manage a calendar. And it's really like, oh, it's a calendar. It's not that big a deal. Yes, it is. Setting it up, pivot time, knowing when to schedule something, when not to schedule something, when to know when to ask the person, can I schedule it, and when not to ask the person. These are all the things that I'm going to talk about. But for right now, we are just talking about being the one when to send the invite out and when not to send the invite out. You don't control the invite. Let them control the invite when they request the meeting. When you request a meeting, you control the invite. Got it? Unless, there's always an unless it's a higher division or a higher profile client, or if it's a higher agents part of the agencies or structure. If it's higher, whatever they want to do, let them do it. You just ask, you politely ask, hey, will you be sending the invite out, or would you like me to send the invite out? That's how you talk to someone who's above you in the whole hierarchy thing. Don't be like, oh, send the invite. Never tell a higher up's assistant what to do. You ask them, hey, would you like me to send the invite, or do you want to control the invite? Most of the time they want to control the invite because their principal is higher than yours, so their schedule switches. So it's easier for them just to be like, hey, I'm going to switch the invite, than them have to get in contact with you to switch the invite and all that other stuff. You see my point? All right, I know this helped. Love you guys. Stay up, stay blessed. Deuces, and I'm out. Click it.